Ciao,
Ragazzi.
buongiorno, ragazzi.
What?
Un saluto di Inter. Whoa, what?
Everybody stay close to your heart and walk at the darkness. Everybody stay.
What a game.
Oh my goodness me, ragazzi. Bruno, word for word over the phone. If you saw that we lost to Dortmund today, it would be okay. It is the manner of the defeat that is so deflating and that is so gut-wrenching. We'll keep it as brief as possible so we can focus on the Verona game. But Bruno, at 2-0, I didn't celebrate. What were your thoughts at 2-0 and what are your thoughts on the full-time score now, man?
Martinez, early goal.
He's so good.
Doing it really well, and I just feel that was perfect. Now, if we score that second goal at the start of the second half, it's a different game.
Yeah.
We go into the sheds 2-0 up, confidence just is too high, and the Dortmund bench was just unstoppable today, and we actually got a very good look at how actually good Dortmund are, and that is without their German marksman in Royce.
Not only that, their player that scored their first and second goal, their first and third goal, what's his name again? Do you remember? I forgot. It starts with a H. I think it's Hakimi or something like that.
Or something
He's scored heaps of goals for them this season, and he's a defender. And today we just saw a Dortmund side that was so hell-bent on winning because they were the better side at 1-0. They were the better side at 2-0. And a team with a poor mental strength would have given that game up. But that was a world-class performance from Borussia Dortmund today. And at the end of the day, we need to hold our hand up as fans and go, wow, in terms of Champions League, we are far off the pace. We are doing very well domestically, but in terms of competing with the big boys, it's almost a matter of fine margins when you get to this elite level of competition. And unfortunately, we're just not ready to play keepy-ups with the big boys just yet.
And not just that, it's been under constant criticism, especially when he was even at Juventus. 3 at the back does not work in Europe, and it's just, we had a right wing back absolutely dominate us, and 3 at the back just does not work against these big teams, because when Dortmund push up, they don't just push up with their attackers, their defense joins in and everything. And even on the counter, you're going to get caught offside because they're just that good and that well organised. In saying it, this Dortmund team has been together for a while.
Yeah.
They've had some changes here and there, but they have not been revamped like Inter has. So you can really see the work that Inter needs to do to get to that next level.
Not only that, they're a club that really embeds a certain style of football. Think Barcelona, think Ajax, think Borussia Dortmund. They're a club where if the first team isn't up to scratch, there's players in the second team ready to fill in to play the same system. There's players in the third team willing to come in and play the same system. You know, there's a reason Liverpool filled their under-23s team and put 5 goals past Arsenal. They play a very similar structure in their club that Dortmund do. The identity is almost tattooed into this club. That's why they couldn't say die in that second half. And I've got to say, the Dortmund fans are amongst the best in the world. And stay tuned for a really awesome matchday rival fan vlog from my best mate and our good friend Jono, big Dortmund fan. But you guys will love the footage, don't you worry.
And not just, and it's the result itself was very disappointing, but there were some glimpses of positivity in the match. We were very unfortunate that Politano comes on 2 minutes later, studs up on the leg.
Yeah.
Any other day he would have been subbed off. Do we have any subs left?
None left.
Even if we did, who are you going to bring on? Lukaku's just come off. Esposito possibly, but still. Biraghi, very disappointing.
He's just shaky, Biraghi. Like, I can trust him against small teams domestically, but today he was off point, man. Like, that's Asamoah could have been there for that.
He's come from nowhere
Yeah.
to a team which has played 4 games in 10 days, is it? And it's hard, and he hasn't played every single one of those games, but who did he come from again?
from Biraghi. I think
Yeah.
it was Torino.
Yeah,
I'm not
and
too
he's
sure,
come
actually.
straight into Champions League, and it's a very big challenge. But we did see the return of Sensi, who came on in the second half for the god himself, Vecino. And I know you've been very critical of him, but Vecino was one of our better players on the field today.
I will jump in right now and say I agree with Bruno. A lot of fans at the end of the game were saying, "Oh, Vecino's not good enough. We should sub him out." Man, Vecino was one of the least of our problems today, to be honest.
And he moved into a position where he got that second goal.
Yeah, he
for
knows
us.
how to do that.
And it was really well done. But Sensi came on. Barella, he was much quieter this game.
Yeah, he was marked out of the game a lot, but in the first half had a lot of good touches and a lot of physical.
Brozovic was one of his more better performances.
Yeah, that second goal is all Brozovic right there, to be honest.
So look, overall there's a lot of positivity to take out of this, but I said this from the beginning, if we don't make the round of 16, I don't want to go to Europa.
Me either. So now we're at this point where we're not too sure where to go and we just need to focus on getting 3 points against Slavia. I, for one, don't really want to dwell on the next Champions League game because we'll have plenty of time to bring you some content for that match.
Definitely.
Now, what I said to Bruno is what a lot of fans have been saying, that something that's impressed us this season is the way the team reacts in the face of adversity. We have seen in the past, Inter, a result can completely derail the progress, but we had a very difficult weekend where we dropped points to Barcelona and Slavia, and then we came back and won games domestically comfortably. We were put down 2-1 by Juventus, only to come back and defeat Sassuolo away from home and then beat Brescia and Bologna. I'm very upset about today's result. There is one medicine and one cure. 3 punti versus Verona this weekend, Bruno.
Do you know what? Not just 3 points, a very dominant performance and a very hard-earned 3 points needs to come out of this. They need to just reiterate the fact that they are the team that Conte's turning them into. We can't have a 1-0 or 2-1 win over them. We need 3-4 goals in just to reinforce to the rest of the Serie A that we're not here to play. We're here to win.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that in the podcast earlier this week, Conte's mentality is second to none. I'll put him up there with Mourinho.
Yeah.
Right? His mentality in regards to other teams, his mentality in regards to opposition is this win, this loss is a loss. We can't change that now. But we might be playing, I think it's 9th place Verona.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're treating them as if they've got Cristiano Ronaldo and the Juventus team on the pitch, and
Absolutely.
and I think I'm confident, but hopefully old demons don't come back to us. Like you said, we saw last season the loss early in January just completely derailed it.
Yeah.
Then the loss to Frankfurt. Then you had Icardi dramas, and it just caused that many flow-on issues. But in saying that, this isn't the same team we had last year. We've got basically a new team.
Yeah, we really do. I'm pretty confident about this week against Genoa. I think the best thing for me to take Genoa, my bad, Verona, it's that kind of day, eh? I would say the best thing to come out of this morning's match is that Sensi walked off with 100% fitness. So if he was okay to perform 25 minutes today, let's hope we see him start against Verona.
And who do you take off?
Well, that's easy. We have to take off Vecino, unfortunately. But if Brozovic isn't 100% ready to go, I'm more than happy to see Vecino. If Sensi's back in there, I just feel as though if we have Brozovic, Barella and Sensi, we might be able to pack it up and pack it in by half-time.
Yeah. And this is our last game for 2 weeks.
Well,
I don't see any excuses here.
Nah.
But the issue for Inter at the moment is 90% of our team is going to be on international duty, and we've seen what international duty does to our players.
Yeah.
And D'Ambrosio, he got injured, broke his toe.
Yeah, broke his pinky toe.
And then Alexis Sanchez, he got injured international duty, so it's a nice break for the squad. But we mentioned it again in the podcast. Italy themselves have already qualified. Do they need to keep pushing? Do they need to select
Well,
the best of the best.
Well, maybe Roberto Mancini, uno di noi, and Interesta, maybe he can see past that, and maybe Stefano Sensi and Nicola Barella don't need minutes for the Italian national team, and yeah, just
hopefully
play the whole Juventus squad.
How do you see Inter lining up against
Verona? First of all, shout out to Samir Handanovic, who, let's face it, probably kept it at 2-0 for the first half, which probably should have been 2-all going to half time with his spectacular display again. I thought Godin had a very good first 45 minutes, only to have a just as bad second 45 minutes today.
But you know what, I put it down to you can't have one man at the back.
Nah.
And there were times where not just Godin, the rest of the defense just looked confused. They looked starstruck. They looked like, oh, well, look who we're playing against.
For me, I take Godin out of that back three and I play Skriniar, De Vrij and Bastoni as my back three. Moving across to the midfield five. Bruno, you can take it from here.
Candreva needs to get a run. I expected him to play a bit today.
Yeah.
He's just been really good this season. If Candreva's not there, Lazzaro, he needs to be in that starting 11, just to get his minutes up, get those gears grinding. Brozovic,
he's unplayable.
You can't not put him in the squad. I need to give, although he was hopeless today, I need to give Baraghi a run.
Yeah.
Just to, release some of, we can take it a bit easier. It is Verona. But at the same time, he needs to get his minutes up. He needs to get the experience with the Inter squad, with the Conte system.
And just going on that, we saw Lazzaro lose confidence in a match. So what did Conte do? Threw him in as a starter against Bologna, and he had a great game. Now, Verona at the San Siro, which we should mention, we haven't played at the San Siro in 3 games. Brescia was in Brescia, Bologna was in Bologna, Dortmund in Dortmund. I really think that ragazzi need a game at the Miazza to kick them back up, and maybe that's where Lazzaro and Biraghi can have their good game and rejuvenate their confidence. Barella and Sensi to make up the midfield?
Barella and Sensi, Vecino, I don't know what he's going to be doing there. Can you really take Vecino off after the game he has had? It's a hard one there. And then you've got Gagliardini.
Gagliardini injured and didn't travel with the squad today, so he might play against Verona. Although something tells me if he's injured today, how much can he turn around in 3 days? Same with Asamoah.
Lautaro Esposito up front.
Time to rest Lukaku.
I'd like to see Lukaku get a rest, but in saying that, I can't see Lukaku letting Conte rest him. He is on fire in the Serie A, and especially against a team like Hellas Verona.
He knows he can grab a nick of a goal no matter what, even if he scores it off his ass.
And he has, we mentioned on our Facebook, he's tied with El Fenomeno.
9 goals in 11 starts in Serie A.
9 goals in 11 starts, and he could make it 10, 11 or 12 in this game here. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I can't see both our strikers playing the full 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I just feel Politano, Esposito will be 2 substitutes that will be made in this game.
Yes.
Depending on how Politano did pull up after what happened in the Dortmund fixture.
I think Politano will be okay because his injury looked more like a surface injury, like he was stepped on and it was like a bit of a bruise, and he'll recover okay in time. In terms of our opponent, not the strongest looking side, although they are performing better than what most people thought they would. They're in 9th. They got a good win at home against Brescia, obviously marred for the racism against Mario Balotelli. This could potentially work in Inter's favour, as the club itself is kind of going through a stressful period this week where the president has come out and said he's going to ban a few ultras. So I don't expect a large travelling presence from Verona to this Inter game, and I expect 60,000 fans at the Miazza to absolutely drown them out and make Inter feel as though 3 points pretty much is the only option. In terms of their threats, is there anyone that bothers you in this Verona team?
It's not any individuals, it's Verona. And I mentioned it earlier. These bottom teams like to play their best games against Inter.
Of course they do.
And just some quick facts here. Inter have scored 6 goals in their last 3 matches in the Serie A, whereas Verona's only scored 3. So if you look at it like that, you got a really good idea. A really good idea as to where the goals are going to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In their last 9 appearances, 8 of them being Serie A, Inter has not lost a game to Verona. They've drawn 1, 2. They've drawn 2 and 1, 7. And they're big, like 2-0, 3-0, 3-0, 2-0, 4-2. They're big score lines. I can't see them troubling us at all. But then again, morale plays a big thing in this sport.
And it just goes back to what we said before. In the face of adversity, Conte's Inter reacts a lot better, more maturely and more efficiently than Spalletti's Inter. So let's just hope for exactly the same sort of reaction this week.
And now it's time for our players, our purchases of the season so far. So your Lukakus, your Barellas, your Godins. Not just that, you want your Kandreevas and your Skriniars to step up and say, look, that's happened. We need to move forward. You got to remember, a lot of these players have come to this team for Conte.
Yep.
Not for the colours we're wearing.
Yep.
They came to this team because the manager on top has turned around and asked them to come. Absolutely. Now it's their time to prove to him that they're worth what they want.
Yeah, I would have to agree. In terms of a score prediction, who was right on the podcast? Alessandro said we'd lose 1-0, but I guess he's the only one that predicted a loss. Now I'm the one that looks stupid. Oh, well, nothing new there. Verona this weekend, and I'm doing the classic. Nah, I can't do the anti-jinx against Verona. It's not right. It won't make a difference. 2-0, first half goal. We go to halftime leading 1-0, and we close it out nice and early in the second half. Sort of like almost a Brescia performance without the goal for... Verona to make us nervous. So I'm going to go 2-0.
I've got to go 4-1.
4-1?
4-1. Icardi won't be playing this game. Lukaku and a Lukaku brace with Martinez getting a goal and Sensi.
Sensi, if we score a few goals, Sensi gets something for sure.
Sensi definitely will be popping up.
And all the Inter fans blow their load and say, well, this is what we've been missing for how many weeks on end.
Look, we've managed to get through the last 4 games without him.
Yeah.
Other than the Dortmund fixture, we got wins against Bologna, win against
Brescia, Sassuolo as well.
Draw against Parma. We beat Sassuolo. Look, you can't really deny that.
We beat Dortmund without him, remember?
Yeah, so look, it's difficult, but I'm going to be very optimistic here, and normally I'm the pessimist. I'm saying 4-0, 4-1. Maybe we give them a consolation goal because we're too busy celebrating.
Maybe. Nothing would make me happier than 3 points. It would really make me forget about this because at the end of the day, I don't think any of us expected us to win the Champions League. It's just that I don't buy into the fans that say, oh, it's not worth it making it through to the round of 16, blah, blah, blah. Trust me, it's worth it. It's worth it for stature. It's worth it for prize money. But on the flip side, I don't want none of that Thursday night, Friday afternoon Europa League crap because this is a year where we're trying to domestically put points on the board. Anyway, from all of us here at Inter Worldwide, we have plenty of content coming your way over the next 2 weeks, so don't skip out on us. Grazie mille. Forza Inter.
Forza Inter Worldwide.
Ciao.